Science with Verity.
Welcome to Science with Verity. This episode we are looking at the movement of water into the roots and how this is passed into the xylem. Water is first taken into the cells via osmosis. A root hair cell has little heads to absorb the water over a large surface area. The soil has a high or more negative water potential compared to the low water potential of the root cell, which means that the water molecules move from the soil to the cell because the root hair cell has more ions, which lowers the water potential. Once the water is absorbed, it travels to the xylem via one of two routes, the apoplastic pathway or the symplastic pathway. First of all, the apoplastic pathway. When water is pulled into the endothermal cells, it pulls more water with it, as water has a good cohesion between molecules. Cohesion means that the molecules have the ability to stick together. Because the molecules stick together, the tension draws the water along the cell walls through the water-filled spaces that line the mesh-like structures of the cellulose wall. The second way is through the symplastic pathway. This happens via osmosis through the cytoplasm of the cortex. The water passes through a little strand of cytoplasm called the plasmodesmata. This results in a thin, continuous strand of cytoplasm between cells, from the root hair cell to the xylem. The water in the root hair cell raises the water potential of it. This forms a concentration gradient with the next cell, the first of the cortex. Water then moves down the water potential gradient to the first cortex cell. This movement of water causes the first cortex cell to have a higher water potential than the second, and so the water moves to the second cell. At the same time, the lack of water of the first cortex cell means that the water potential is lowered, so more water is absorbed via osmosis, thus setting up a water potential gradient across all of the cells. Water passed through the cells via the apoplastic pathway is passed into the cytoplasm of the cortex cells by the way of the Casparian strip. This waxy waterproof strip prevents further movement of water into the cell walls. The active transport of ions into the xylem lowers the water potential, resulting in the water moving down the water potential gradient to the vitum from the cortex cells. So, to sum up, water enters the root hair cell via osmosis. The apoplastic pathway occurs in the cell wall, and the water in this pathway finishes up in the cytoplasm because of the Casparian strip. The symplastic pathway occurs in the cytoplasm and creates a continuous water potential gradient from the root hair cell through to the xylem. Water moves into the xylem via osmosis because of a water potential gradient caused by the active transport of ions. Thanks for watching!